All right, people. Let's talk about Record Store Day. Hi. Shad with Vinyl New Wave. I know Record Store Day was like a month and week or two ago, but I just didn't get a chance to do a video. I didn't even really start making videos until after Record Store Day, so I still had all my releases separated out in my to listen to pile. I decided I should just do a quick video because there are a lot of releases that came out that are new wave related. In fact, the most of any Record Store Day yet. And I got almost all of them. I got everything on my list and then some. So I'm not going to dwell on a lot of them because a lot of them a lot of people have already seen or talked about. So I'll just kind of skim through a bunch of them, but on a couple of them, I'll talk a little bit more about them. We'll start out with the 7 inches. I'm not really a 7-inch kind of guy usually, but there's a few of them that I wanted. This one is just a Gigolo with David Bowie and Marlene Dietrich. I try to get all the David Bowie 7 inches. I'll do another video on those, but great. I really actually bought it for the flip side, which was Marlene Dietrich's last recording. I like that old sound, that old 40s sound, so I picked that one up. Squeeze Swindles series, Erykah, Badu, and James Poyser, Tempted. I think this gets actually overlooked quite a bit. There's a series of these. I think this is the third one. I could be wrong. There might be another one. There might be another one out there somewhere. But these are all cover tunes of Squeeze tunes. This is Erykah, Badu, and James Poyser doing Tempted. Really great tune. If you get the chance, give it a listen. There's also from Record Store Day last year, one of Elvis Costello, I think it was, doing a Squeeze song, and then there's another one of another artist. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but there's a series of 3 of those. I try to pick up, if I see these Squeeze cover discs, I try to pick those up. Picked up the Iggy Pop and the Villagers 7-inch. I picked up Your Generation from Generation X, the Winstanley mix, which was a cool little thing on red vinyl. Really starting to get into punk in these earlier Generation X, especially. They've got an anniversary release of their first album that just came out, but I also just picked up an original pressing of their first album. But I'll cover that another time. And then lastly, I bought this Police Message in a Bottle double 7-inch. Really overpriced. It was like $30. Just not worth it. It was way overpriced. I picked up the Boy George featuring Gladys Knight, Runaway Train, shaped picture disc. Kind of a cool thing. It's off the latest Boy George album, which is actually quite good. Or the latest Culture Club album. Give that one a listen if you can. Moving on to the 12-inch vinyl. I picked up Blancmange, Living on the Ceiling, a limited edition remastered blue vinyl. Really great record from back in the day, and it's on this opaque blue vinyl, a nice little import. I didn't think that was a regional release to Britain, and I didn't think I would see it, but somebody had it. I can't remember which of the stores I went to had it. The B-52s, Mesopotamia, the EP that they did with David Byrne, Prince, His Majesty's Pop Life, Got some really good remixes of a couple of their songs, as also like When Doves Cry, a couple of good classics, which a lot of people are going to call me on that being new wave, and I'll address that in another video. I got the Roxy Music remixes, and you know, I thought this was more like classic remixes, and it's more like modern DJs doing remixes of it. I don't love it, to be honest. It's okay, but I don't love it. This one I haven't seen anyone talk about. Violet Femmes, Hallowed Ground. Their, I believe it's their second album, with a couple good tunes like Jesus Walking on the Water and Black Girls. It's and the Country Death Song. It's a really, you know, it's limited, numbered, hand numbered. I don't think I've seen anybody actually like say they got it. And I actually picked this one up 3 weeks after Record Store Day. I was down in southern Utah picking up my daughter from college, and there's a record store down in Cedar City called Gotta Groove Records, and I had some free time, so I went in, and lo and behold, they had this sitting there, and I was amazed, because I had been to like 7 other stores over the course of the 3 weeks prior, and nobody had this. So I was pretty stoked to get that one. Elvis Costello and the Imposters, Purse, doing music from Burt Bacharach, Paul McCartney, Johnny Cash, and Bob Dylan. Great for your Elvis Costello fans. This one I was actually very surprised to get. Bananarama. Moana, Cruel Summer, and Pair of Venus remixes. According to the official Record Store Day website, there were only 500 of these pressed, and it was a regional release in the UK only. So I was shocked to see it at one of my local stores, and it was there like 3 hours after open. So I grabbed it because I love Bananarama. These are newer remixes. They're not the classic remixes. There's some newer remixes by newer DJs. They're okay. Osaka Popstar doing Fish Heads. Remember Fish Heads as a kid on the Dr. Demento show, and Osaka Popstar does kind of a punk version of it. It's actually pretty good. I like it. It's on pink vinyl. And one thing to note on this one is that you probably can't see it, but it is actually mastered and cut to be a 10-inch record, and so the outer inch of the record is just blank wax, and there's no running groove or anything. And because it's pink, it's kind of tough to see, especially in lower light where my record player is. And so when I went to listen to it, I dropped the needle on the outside edge of the record, as I would expect to, and turned on the record player, and the needle slid right across the disc. And it took me twice before I figured out, oh yeah, it's not actually at the edge of the record. It's in on the 10-inch. Kind of a weird pressing, but it's kind of a fun little tune. A fun little version of Fish Heads. Aha, the early alternate remixes, or early alternate mixes. It's for an Aha fan, it's a classic. You gotta have it. U2, the Europa EP. It's U2, so I had to buy it. Mine actually, I didn't even notice it until after I got home, but mine's got a big crease in the cover, so I still see these sitting around in stores, so I might just go buy another one, and maybe this will be some VCLT someday. Weezer, the Teal album, covering a lot of good 80s new wave classics, like Aha's Take On Me, their cover of Africa from Toto, Sweet Dreams, or this from the Eurythmics. It's on Teal vinyl. there's a lot of good covers on that. I'm also a Weezer fan, so had to buy that one. Yaz, Reconnected Live. I'm a big fan of Yaz, Alison Moyet, Vince Clarke, and all of their associated bands and projects. I wish to God that I had gone to LA to see these guys perform on that Reconnected Live tour. It would have been amazing. But I did not. I could not afford it at the time. But I'm very happy that they released this on vinyl in the US. It was available in kind of a limited fashion in Europe, but I'm glad they actually put out a US version of it. It's a pretty good live album, and that comes from a guy who hates live albums. So, onto a couple soundtracks. This one I was actually really shocked to get. There's only like 1,000 of them made, and I thought for sure that it would be gone if was at the store, if the store even had one, got one when I got there. So I got to the store early, and lo and behold, I was like 30th in line, and I got in there, and lo and behold, this was still sitting there. It's the Trax Industrial Accident soundtrack, and it's on blue vinyl. It was, I think they said 1,000 of them made. Has Front 242, Revolting Cocks, KMFDM, Ministry, all that good industrial music. I was absolutely stoked to get that. Coneheads motion picture soundtrack. It's on yellow vinyl. A lot of really good new wave artists on this, like Soft Cell, Tainted Love's on here, of course. Katie Lang and Andy Bell from Erasure do a song. Morton Harkett from Aha does a solo song, Can't Take My Eyes Off of You, which is, I'm sure, a cover of that. I haven't had a chance to listen to this yet. So REM is on here. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Bare Naked Ladies. And Babel, which is Tom Bailey for the Thompson Twins project after Thompson Twins split up. So good soundtrack for 80s new wave there. This one I'm actually kind of baffled about. This is kind of my biggest release that confused me, and that is the Crow soundtrack. It's a beautiful record. It's really well done. The white vinyl for the first record, and then the black vinyl with the etching on side D. It's great. A lot of great music, a lot of stuff that you don't have anywhere else, like The Cure's Burn, Machines of Loving Grace, a good industrial band. Nine Inch Nails cover of Dead Souls from Joy Division. My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult is on here. Jesus and Mary Chain. Rage Against the Machine. There's just all kinds of good industrial, early grunge on this. Now, the official website said that they made 8,000 of these, but man, they went like hotcakes, and I was surprised. I thought with a pressing of 8,000, they're going to be like a dime a dozen. They'll be on discount. They'll be in the discount bin in 9 months. But lo and behold, man, they flew off the shelves. I'm glad I grabbed one. Yeah, I mean, they're going for like $150 online, which is absolutely crazy. Now, finally, these last three that I've got, they were not actually part of the official Record Store Day list. And it is a series of re-releases of Nitzer Ebb. This is for this is that total age. And if you look at the sticker on the top there, it is a double vinyl expanded collector's edition that was only previously available in the box set. There's by Pylon Records, there's a box set that has all of the albums on different colored vinyls and all the remixes and everything. And it's this huge box set that's like $300 or something. And they took a limited run of 100 records from each of the albums and released them for DJs, they said, but they showed up in record stores on Record Store Day. And so I picked up that Total Age, which has Warsaw Ghetto and Violet Playground and Murderous. And then it's got a bunch of the remixes. And then I also picked up Belief, which is the same thing. I think that Total Age is on black or red vinyl, if I remember right. Yeah. That Total Age is on red vinyl. Belief is actually just on black vinyl. In the box set, it's normally on white, so I'm not sure what the deal is, but that's on black vinyl. And then Showtime, which has Lightning Man, Getting Closer, Fun to Be Had. And this one is on orange vinyl. Yeah, this is on a cool orange vinyl. So, yeah, these all were at my local store. The only one that I did not get, that I didn't see, was Ebbhead. I don't think they even got a copy of Ebbhead. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that one. But I was really stoked to find those because I've wanted these Nitzer Ebb albums for a long time, and finally found them. I also ended up picking up a few non-Record Store Day releases just because they were a good deal. I got the reissue of Pet Shop Boys Release, a couple other odds and ends. This Record Store Day was kind of a weird one for me. I normally, for the last 6 years or whatever, I've gone in, I think they're falling down on me here. The last few years, I had this system where I went to my local Graywell record store, Graywell CD. They are in Sandy. I go there. They open usually at 10 or 8 on Record Store Day, so I'd usually go there at like 6 o'clock and get in line, and then go in there and get all the releases that I want there, and then I would head to another store called Sound and Vision Vinyl here in Salt Lake, and pick out what he had left, pick up what he had left there that I still wanted, and then from his store, I would go to Randy's Records in downtown Salt Lake, and then finish up in Randy's. And usually between those three, I would get whatever it was I was after on Record Store Day. This year, Sound and Vision Vinyl decided to open at 6 a.m. And I debated on going there first versus going to my usual spot. But in the end, I decided to not change up my progression. And so I went first to the Grey Whale. That's where I got the Wax tracks. That's where I got the Crow soundtrack. That's where I got a big chunk of things. And then I went on to Sound and Visual Vinyl. He actually still had a Wax Tracks soundtrack at, I think I got to his place at like maybe 11 o'clock. And he'd been open for 5 hours already, and it was still sitting there, which just shocked me. And I picked up a few things there at Sound and Vision Vinyl, and then I went downtown to Randy's. Randy's always opens late. They don't even open till like 11 o'clock. So I got to Randy's shortly after they opened and went in, and that's where I got these Nitzer Ebbs and a few of the others. And I didn't get a lot of, there was still some gaps in my list, but I was happy, right? I got a whole bunch of records and more than I probably should have, and I was happy. So the next day after, record store day, I had to go to North Carolina for work, so I flew to Charlotte, and on Wednesday I had some time in the evening, so I went out to Lunchbox Records in Charlotte and went browsing there. That's a great store. Charlotte's got a really awesome store there in Lunchbox. So shout out to the peeps at Lunchbox. They had a whole bunch. They had tons and tons of stuff left over, but they did not have. And I ended up getting the Generation X there, and I can't remember everything I got. And then I got this for my buddy Chris, my other brother Chris. I still need to get that to you. That's still that's the Tangerine Dream. He wanted that and didn't get it here in Salt Lake, so I picked that up for him there in North Carolina. And then I came home, and like I said, a week later I went down to southern Utah to pick up my daughter, and that's where I ended up getting the Violent Femmes. So notably missing from my haul are two. And they were actually kind of my top two that I wanted. The first one was Bingo Handjob, or the REM, the live show from London back in the days of Out of Time. And the Duran Duran live album. Nowhere had them. The stores that I got to that got them only got like 1 or 2 copies, and so they were already gone by the time I got there. So I don't know. I'll keep an eye out for them online, but I'm not going to pay the aftermarket prices on them. So if you know where I can get either of those releases for a reasonable price, I'll pay a small premium, but I'm not going to pay double for them. Let me know. So that was my haul from Record Store Day. There were still a number of other ones that I didn't get that were regional releases that were just for Europe, like 7-inch of Keen. I love Keen. There was a picture disc for Small Town Boy from Bronski Beat, although I did see that. I chose not to pick it up. There was also a boxed set of Propaganda 12 inches that I actually really wanted and would have bought if I'd seen it, but I didn't see it. Oddly enough, I saw it on sale on Amazon for $15.99. We'll see if they actually ship it, if they actually can get it and ship it. It's scheduled to be delivered in mid-July, so if it actually shows up, I'll let you know. There was also an Art of Noise box set. ZTT Zing Tum Tum has done a whole bunch of these cool 12-inch box sets. 808 State, they did one for 808 State, and they did one for Frankie Goes to Hollywood last year. So if I can ever track that down, I'll buy it. I'll probably keep an eye out on the aftermarket to see if I get a good price, because I don't have a high degree of confidence that Amazon will actually get it and ship it to me. But let me know what you think. Did I get everything? Is there anything missing? Did I get too much? And what are your favorite releases from Record Store Day? So far for me, I think it's probably a toss-up between the Crow and the Wax Trax. Those two records are just amazing, and I'm so happy I got them. But I'll be back next week with another video. But in the meantime, keep spinning.